Hello there. My name is Erik Robbins. I'm going to be discussing my digital manufacturing app for ME6225, which I call using near-field communication for improved supply chain management. So first off, it's important to understand what is currently done to manage products throughout the supply chain. And these days, you typically use either RFID, which is radio frequency identification, or like you scan a barcode. And so in either of those cases, you scan a tag, which basically brings up a part number on your reader device. And with that, you go to a database to look up more information on that part or product that you've received. And I feel that there's a lot of trade-offs associated with this that could be mitigated by my solution. So first, we need to understand what the differences between RFID and near-field communication are. The first and most important is that near-field communication is a two-way data transmission. You can say peer-to-peer, so your phone or tablet would communicate with the tag and vice versa, whereas RFID is a one-way data transmission from the tag to your reader. The next is that near-field communication is short distance, less than 4 inches, whereas RFID can be up to 300 feet. Having short distance communication would seem like a disadvantage in many applications. It is, but when you're talking about sensitive data, you don't want that to be transmitted over long distances, or potentially someone could steal that data. Also, only one tag can be scanned at a time, whereas with RFID, potentially can scan many items at a time, which is convenient when you're talking about lots of parts, but it can also lead to confusion. So my improved concept doesn't just use near-field communication. It also incorporates the use of sensors as well as a digital app that could be installed on tablets or phones. And so what it does essentially is that sensors track the product in terms of its environment, its handling, and then near-field communication is used to transmit that information. And a phone or tablet would basically go by the near-field communication tag to pick up this information. One reason why near-field communication is an improvement is that it is commonly available. The technology is in both phones and tablets these days, so you don't necessarily need new equipment for throughout your supply chain. Another advantage is that information can be retrieved without the cloud, since data is stored locally. On the right-hand side, I show an example of what might come as a display for a customer who has received a product, a replacement O-ring. And basically, the sensors have recorded in this example that it has endured a large shock load, which might have damaged the part. So this potentially could prevent a failure of an entire system because the customer has realized that their part has potentially been compromised and they won't install a compromised part. Next, I want to discuss a business case where I think my solution can add a lot of value. At my employer, one of our best customers is a joint venture between ExxonMobil and Totco. They operate in Chad, Africa, and as a developing country, there's a lot of extreme logistical challenges. Chad is a remote country. It's inland and it's far from our factory in the United States. The quality of the infrastructure is poor, which means there's a high probability of damage to products being shipped there, which is both expensive and inconvenient because it can be weeks or months for replacements to be sent if damage occurs. Also, like many developing countries, Chad suffers from poor governance and a high rate of corruption. And so by tracking packages and products throughout the supply chain, you can reduce your risk of bribes being paid out or products being stolen. And you can essentially use it as a tool to audit yourself and as well as your vendors to make sure that integrity is being maintained. Also, like many poor developing countries, Chad has unreliable internet access. On the picture on the right here, you can see a map of 2G internet access from the country's largest carrier, which is Airtel. As you probably noticed, it covers very little of the country, and 2G is not very good coverage as well. And so for customers who need to be able to access product information, they don't want to have to use the cloud because it's unreliable in the field. Finally, I want to go over the value added of my proposed solution compared to that of the current solution. Firstly, product condition is continuously tracked from the time that it leaves the manufacturing floor until it is installed by the customer. So what's good about this is that product issues are quickly identified even before they might reach the field, potentially saving cost. Next, your supply chain systematic issues can be quickly identified and potentially eliminated because you know where it is that you might be damaging your products. Next, quality disputes and contract disputes with customers can be more easily resolved. And this is because if there is an issue, you know whose fault it is, whether it's someone who, the truck that delivered it, or it was your fault in the first place. This can reduce your legal costs as well as potentially your cost of quality costs. Another benefit of near-field communication is that the technology is widely available already in most smartphones and many tablets, making its adoption far less costly. All you would need to do is simply download an app. Next, near-field communication provides potential security benefits because it's a short-distance communication protocol. It's also two-way encrypted, and as an example, it is commonly used as a payment source such as Apple Pay, which obviously is very secure. The final reason is that a cloud connection is not necessarily needed to obtain data, which is very good for customers or suppliers who are not able to access data through the cloud all around the world.